Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about what in the world is happening with Facebook groups and why you should pay attention. There's 4 key things that are going to help you make more sales in your business, and Facebook can be the key to making a difference in the effort that you put in and the result that you get out. Now, fair warning, as per usual, I always say, make sure that you are building on multiple platforms. And if you are building something inside the Meta suite, don't forget Facebook and Instagram are held by the same company. Make sure you're building somewhere else that is not attached, a secondary social platform, plus building your email list, which is the only form of communication you truly own. But now that we have that disclaimer out of the way, let's talk about 4 reasons that you really should be leaning in and paying attention to Facebook groups. They've recently reset the way that they draw attention and engagement inside the platform, and they've begun to give attention back to groups again. I don't know if you all remember this, but back 5 years ago, Facebook groups were all the rage, and they were one of the places where you got the most attention, the most engagement, and the highest conversions. We used them an absolute ton for many years. And then there were changes to the platform that really killed groups. And it made it really, really difficult. No one was seeing your stuff. They weren't getting the notifications in their feed. People just weren't even seeing what you were sharing in the groups. And so they kind of dwindled in the background for a while. Well, in the last, I want to say 6 months to a year, we've really seen the traction in groups pick back up again. Now, something that I learned about Facebook groups, because I have a lot of them, I probably have between 15 and 20 Facebook groups, and we use multiple groups. Obviously, each of the companies in my portfolio has one or more. Some of them have multiple. And we did learn that there is a law of diminishing returns when these groups get too big. So it's actually smarter to have a few Facebook groups that you keep in the 10 to 20,000 range versus going up to these like mega groups that, you know, once you get to a certain point, you can't manage it anymore. It's really hard to get your arms around the members. The volume just gets too great for it to be productive. Facebook groups are really productive when you can organize the data, manage the leads really well, and keep your arms around building relationships with the people. So I will mention that there is definitely a law of diminishing returns after a certain point. I think about 20,000 or so is when you probably start to see, engagement drop a little bit, and it makes it a little bit more difficult internally to really get the most value out of the leads. So it's just something to think about. Maybe you have a group for each different one of your programs, for example, for the leads that correlate with that specific offer. Now, let's talk about the 4 reasons why I think this is so important right now, especially for people that are scaling and people that are launching. This is really important for you. You know, the buying cycle has slowed to such a degree that the vast majority of your leads are buying in launches 2 to 4. They're not buying in launch 1 usually. Usually the people that are buying in any given launch that you're in are the people that are either referrals, internal buyers list, or moving into launch 2, 3, or 4, which means that huge priority has shifted from lead generation to get registrations to lead engagement to get show up rates. This has been one of the big shifts that has happened with launching over the last year because of all of the changes to attention and buying cycles online. It used to be if you get X number of, people registered for your launch, you can expect this output. And that's not necessarily the case anymore. And in fact, one of the biggest things people have been struggling with is they can get the volume of registrations, but then the show up rates are just abysmal. Now, in the recent launch that I did, I really talked you through what strategies you needed to implement and the things that you can change in order to get that back on track. One of the biggest things that you can do is make sure that your leads are coming to your Facebook group and follow a workflow from the moment that they join your Facebook group. That means using the entry questions and then making sure that that data is moved into your CRM. Number 2, tagging them on a welcome video and letting them know that you're going to DM them right away. And then number 3, getting into the DMs with them. And I'm going to talk about each of these things and why they have such a massive impact on your sales conversions and on your sales success. So the first thing to know is that the ability to capture leads and contain them in one place is going to be absolutely critical, given that most of them are going to buy on the second launch. if you're not bringing them to a set container and then nurturing them in place, it's like every launch you're kind of starting over. Whereas if you're relaunching and you're going to restream in that same group, it makes it a lot easier to tap into people that are both registered and unregistered every time you launch cycle, because they've already gotten on your email list. They're already in the Facebook group. 2 of the 3 steps are already done. And even if they didn't sign up for the launch, they can still tap in and they can see the streams in the group. It's just going to create a lot of efficiency for you. Number 2, because of the fact that the launch cycles take more than one round, this is going to facilitate making it a lot easier to move people into the second round. It's going to remove those steps, as we already talked about. And what you have to remember is that when people say yes to move to your Facebook group, you are now talking to leads that are 1 tier closer to buying. So number 2 is you're now bringing people 1 more step closer to buying. You're bringing people into your Facebook group that are in your audience in some way, shape, or form, whether they clicked on an ad, they got on your email list, they're following you on social. Now they're taking another step to come to your group, which means they're going from being in the general public to being in your inner circle, which means that they've moved down a tier on your actual funnel and they're 1 step closer to buying. It's up to you to fully maximize the resources that you have to utilize that. Number 3, I have found, and this is a really interesting observation that I had recently, and I don't know if I was just slow to the punch on this or what, but I can post the same thing on my personal page and in my private Facebook group. And in many instances, when it's related to a workshop, an opt-in, a launch, something like that, I will get more than 10x the replies in the Facebook group that I do on my public page. Now, why is that? There is a perception of privacy when people are in your Facebook group. Not everyone wants everyone to publicly know what they're watching, whose content they're consuming, what coach they're studying, what they're doing. Okay. And so what I realize is that although people know consciously that a Facebook group is not private at all, that there's thousands of other people there, they still feel that there is some semblance of privacy in a Facebook group that does not exist on the public feed. And so you can take that same content that you were sharing publicly on your page, share it in your group, and you're going to get far better results. And that includes your opt-in for launch. That includes the launch registration itself. That includes consuming the videos that you're delivering as a part of the launch. And so I think there's a lot of different reasons for this, but the third reason to absolutely pay attention to this is people are getting more and more concerned about privacy. People care about public perception, and you're going to find that people are going to feel more free to do these things in a private group than they do on your public feed. It's just the way that it is. And number 4 is that, and this is probably the most important thing of everything I'm going to share with you, all of the algorithms across all of the platforms have put severe limitations on the amount of outbound messages that you can send now. And if you are trying to sell in high volume, especially launching and selling high ticket products, you need to be able to communicate with your leads because you need to be able to build a relationship, right? And DMs are one of the highest valued tools that you have for social selling and for building relationships. Such severe limitations have been put on these that it could absolutely crumble a business that is trying to grow with a social selling strategy. But here's the catch. When you follow a Facebook workflow, which we do and we teach, of course, you are moving people from answering the entry questions, which includes getting their email address and permission to put them on your list, getting their phone number and permission to put them on your text message list, qualifying questions about them. I mean, those Facebook questions are unbelievably valuable, and making sure you store that data instead of just hitting accept and then you lose all that data. So not only are you now killing multiple birds with one stone because you're getting them on all your lists and all the places and you're getting qualifying information about them, but beyond that, when you follow a Facebook workflow that moves them to tagging on the welcome message, a friend request, and getting them in the DMs right away, once you get someone exchanging with you, especially on Facebook specifically as a platform, you can have a 10x amount of conversations with people when you're already conversing back and forth with them. So the key to be able to work around all the limitations of what's happening with DMs is getting in non-sales conversations with high volumes of people, doing that nurture and relationship building when you're not selling, when you're not launching, so that when you do move into a launch cycle, you're already in those DMs and in those conversations, and you can send outbounds to those people that you're already in conversations with, not being limited by trying to message people that you weren't already talking to. So for all of these reasons that I just mentioned, I think that Facebook groups are something that we really need to pay attention to. I know we're tripling down on our strategy because it's been so effective in terms of engaging our leads and converting our leads. And I think that the core thing to remember here is that because the buying cycle has slowed down so much, a lot of focus has to move to the middle of your funnel. And you all have heard me talk about this ad nauseum, but this is just yet another tool that you can use to manage those middle of the funnel leads, to truly nurture them and bring them to the next step, because they're contained, they're accessible, you're now connected in multiple places, you can get in a DM conversation in a non-sales way, and it's just going to facilitate ease with your ability to close people. Okay, so I hope that is helpful for you. Those are the core 4 reasons why I think it is absolutely crucial to be paying attention to and using Facebook groups in your strategy. And, we do help people with this inside our products and services. So if you want to get your Facebook strategy off the ground, you want to learn more about how we help people grow their businesses, and you want to just chat with a member of our team, you can scroll down below this video and book a call and talk to a member of our team about the products that we have available and what might be a fit for you to get your business growing. Again, thanks for tuning in to the Kelly Roach Show, and we'll see you back here soon. Scroll down and click the link for more, and I'm excited to have you here again. Hope this made a lot of sense and gave you a lot of value, and I hope you'll use it to grow your business. See you back here soon.